na doctor see me ye me chakro. So they be a me sisi. Eradi me wo me sit to so bad. I'm no widow. It's my menace who will be up about. Fama no na mijine ma ye basa meka se ni papa ti viena ye nenu pata e ma ne bunu so no me fra na ni sekaba ora no mobitas no de kan wa petashi wa gamashi won antiti se jataba watashi meka se so wonhwa mo ma unya na hwa ma nteka me kwa wo ya boy bi kranti tashi be ma wa baby ase wo se wonhwa mo ma wo na yan hwa wanka mo magase seboba refisa watopa na me ne betu aka no de sisa ma wo fa wa hwa wa basa wo sache emi ni fa obayari de dumfa wo si hana philomena Sikro na wutu Bema to me share with Benim Jan and Hokope Bushafu for Yasumi out Trimunegu. When I that I was said that's my son, the doctor, the one who drives a black and white Honda. Priso, Michael and David, ne papa, or share the bank and the one in the city that Jacuzzi Mua Drisso. Into papa le drink, Pacolane Bessing, or be any mochina semning in a any what ding. Make you put your kiddie first before everything. I must great initiation by Babushani J. And then Akolana, ya pono no Wapalana, ne mammy bread the one no Wapalana. Let the Subobono no Wapalabina, ya did don't pay one no Wapalana. Mujamane Feno no Wapalana, who makes you on before no Wapalana, Sakolana, one and tear them to man SFM. Or Sergeant Funto, being on one, be any bedroom, Capono, who's about to be spray. The Obianti, one of my friend, hey, a Busa decision, be I has to say, and never tried the papa and Sadan is I am not the Koto Jebu from the year, chop out, and baby, I sing by Wuni Pakeke. We are saying, get Bibiana, your dread. Fakolani Bell, Calapete, oh, now we are saying, but it's where you better. It's all about a Yo-Yo Tunes Festival. How we do? Happening on the 19th to 25th of this month. Charlie for Red, Charlie. Go by the name Young Party. How we do? This is Bushman. Yeah. Shout out to Solo. How we do? Yo-Yo Tunes Festival. Happening this month, 19th to the 25th. Charlie for Red. We'll be big. Over the name Young Party.
Yeah. Down, come dance to the beat. Bend down, shoulder, shoulder. What's up, everyone? My name is Miss V. Right now, you are watching Breakfast Daily. Don't go anywhere. Tiptoe swag.
Wherever the part today, we step clean. Starting on a head of flex and I do your boy AI. Still bowling. Worldwide with it.
I know do them anything, yeah. She was saying, yeah, if you wish me far and go to hello. What's up, it's your Rockstar Kwame Eugene. Keep watching City TV Breakfast Daily. Don't go anywhere. Rockstar. Yeah.
Hi, good morning. My name is Michelle Atto. You're tuned into Breakfast Daily on City TV. Good morning. I'm Jennifer Ajaman, corporate trainer and life coach. Keep watching Breakfast Daily only on City TV.
Good morning. Yes. It's a beautiful Friday morning.
What makes you judge the Friday as being beautiful?
I mean, the sun is out. We're breathing good air. We're alive. That's all you need for the day to be beautiful.
The sun from outside is coming to me in... This is a typical like rays, you know, because it's going through your hair and it's coming through like rays all over. I love it, Diva. I love your hair.
Thank you.
I love your hair. I really, really do love the hair.
Thank you.
Yeah, when is it gonna grow?
What do you mean?
Like planting for food and jobs for you. Eventually it's going to grow. You can afforestation do that to you. Anyway, that's just beautiful. But no. I mean, genuinely, I love it. I love it.
And you told me it's called what?
Efikesima Bawa.
Interesting.
Yes,
it's called Bantu nuts.
Bahu?
Bantu nuts.
Bantu nuts.
Yes, so it's a protective thing. Yeah, you used to protect your hair.
Bantu, I say, from the southern part of Africa.
No, it's just called Bantu. I don't know.
I'm sure it's from that.
Yeah, I'm
anyway,
sure it is.
so as far as our jurisdiction is concerned, this is but it looks really good on you.
Thank you.
And I hope you keep it for the longest time.
I wanted to change it up a bit.
Yes, I love it. I love it. I think we'll have the viewers probably vote on it.
Oh, stop it. They like the old one or this
they like the Afro Pops or they like the Efficacy Maba, aka Planting for Food and Jobs. So we'll figure out which one we like. Anyway, good morning, guys. Good morning. Yes.
The day after the budget.
Yes. Post-budget day or
Yes.
post-budget Friday.
Morning.
Fantastic. I'm so happy the way some things went. You know, some things, of course. Yeah. So at least one thing that stood out for me was the fact that we did not see much taxation in there.
Yes.
Yes. So that's always a good thing for the regular Joe on the street, for the market woman, you know, amongst others. Because when things go up on the macro level, when taxes are increased, it becomes difficult. Or when we announce possible tax increase, because it has to go through Parliament before same can be imposed. So it's very, very exciting and refreshing on that score for the ordinary person on the street.
Yeah.
So, good morning. My name is Isaac Obofor-Spencer.
And I am Jifa Ekya Amatam. This is Breakfast Daily on City TV. Thank you so much for being with us. And if any relative or friend of yours is not watching right now, just ask them, are they watching?
Are you watching? Are you watching?
Tell them to tune in.
It's a City TV thing.
We have a packed show for you. I mean, at City TV, we don't only have current affairs, we only have news, we also have lifestyle, entertainment.
Everything. Speaking of entertainment, the young man who just performed is from Yo-Yo Tins. Yeah, his name is Young Pabi.
I loved
really
it.
talented.
I mean, talking about a woman at the hospital who is pregnant, and the father of the kid is not there. He's with some other woman. So it's beautiful. I mean, it's storytelling, right? And I miss that about our music. There are some sorts of music I listen to, and I'm like, what is he saying? Is he even speaking English or Tree? I don't even know the language they're speaking.
Yeah, I mean, it's good when you have young people speak with a good direction, a positive direction, substance, you know, not just putting words together, making them rhyme, or speaking fast amongst others, you know,
it's refreshing.
or repeating the same thing over and over again. And in Ghana, it becomes a hit, you know.
It's surprising kinds of things
really. Or my name is Shatta Wale.
Oh, stop it. But you love Shatta.
No two ways. I love Shatta music, but I mean 80% of Shatta music. You know, so my name is Shatta Wale will fall in the 20%. You know, because it's more about the beat for that particular song. It's more about the beat. Speaking of beats, do you know D2R is around the corner somewhere?
Yes.
December to remember.
Yes.
It's around the corner somewhere. So, guys,
we're going to be keeping you updated on that. It's a day of fun. You literally come to just dance. And we're just going to have a blast. Last year was amazing. I can't wait.
Last year was when Jifa launched herself on stage.
You know, I mean, listen, I was just like, I do things when I feel comfortable. So if I wanted to go on stage, I didn't want to dance. So if you don't have to dance, you don't want to dance. I mean, I've never been the one to succumb to peer pressure. So it might not look cool to people, but to me, I'm cool. I can sleep at night. I don't want to.
So that's the day. I just want to repeat the word launch, because I noticed quite a few Ghanaians, or quite a few people, not just Ghanaians, you say lunch instead of launch. You know, so that's just something I just need to throw in there. Yes, while lunching, you know, we say that a lot.
But
so
today's
it's
a special day as well.
Yeah.
KNUST students are going back to school today.
Back to school.
We're so happy for you guys. I mean, I can't imagine what it's like to be home for 3 weeks behind schedule. So really, you know, get back on track. Just give it your all, okay? And let's try as well to just work with our leaders in the school. Sometimes they're annoying, but we're stuck with them, so we have to make it work. Okay?
Yes, negotiation over violence, of course. But I'm still insisting that the 1.7. Oh, as for the VC, they have to find ways to let him. That's my personal opinion. As for the VC, they have to find ways to let him go. Not to let him. Let's relieve him of the burden of being a vice chancellor. That's my personal opinion. But on the side of the payment of the 1.7 million cedis, it's important at this point that I say strongly. This is also clearly my opinion, but I don't think it should be the students that should be made to pay. Many
Now, where
people
would they
insist
get the
the
money
students
from?
should pay the 1.7 million. No, usually they'll just share it amongst the students. So if you have 30,000 students, then you divide it.
But isn't that what they mean by
1.7
that?
divided by 30,000.
I mean, because they have funds. For example, what I was thinking was they probably have student activity funds. So it will go cover it because that was a student activity, demolishing properties because you want to protest.
I don't know if you're referring to the SRC account or maybe the various groups of the. They should not touch those monies. One mistake they made was to consolidate all those funds. So instead of SRC having their own accounts, being responsible for their own accounts, they put all that into the consolidated fund for all the students. So it becomes naturally it will become difficult for the students to access same, funds that they pay themselves for their own betterment amongst others. They will have to now restructure and find ways to go through the main channel because once again, I don't know whether it was the decision of council or decision of the vice chancellor, but then once again, the school thought it was better
to consolidate
to consolidate all because you are children, you can't handle your own finances. You understand? When you treat tertiary students like children, sometimes these things happen. It's a big problem. That's a fundamental error that needs to be addressed by maybe a removal of a vice chancellor might help in such things. Anyway,
but back to yesterday. What were some of your personal highlights?
Oh, yesterday.
The budget reading.
Yes. I mean, finally we saw we heard the finance minister say clearly a specific amount going to the Office of the Special Prosecutor.
Yes.
180 million.
Yes, and it's about time, right? I'm so happy for him.
Yes,
and for corruption, fighting corruption in general. That's a big win.
It's a big win
for us, and I hope they pull through because again, the budgets are just projections. So.
Yes. So this amount going to the Office of the Special Prosecutor, we've seen the building he was given, not very beautiful, definitely not complete by any standard. Those in the industry are saying it will take about 6 months for that. I think ASL also those in the industry are saying it will take about 6 months for that particular project to be complete. So we are going into 2019. It's just one more year before the elections, and we are expecting someone to fight prosecution, and prosecutions actually take quite a lot of time, because the courts are not readily going to imprison an innocent person. I mean, there's this thing they say that it's better for 1,000 guilty people to be out than for one innocent person to be in jail.
And we also have a deficit of lawyers in the country, so it's not like he has all the manpower.
He does not
to
have
get the job
the manpower as it stands
so
right now.
That's
but the amount of money he has been given definitely can get him some manpower. 180 million.
It's not.
Mr. Amidu, a day for you. 180 million. I'm a taxpayer. I've worked hard. I'm a lawyer.
It'll probably finish like that because he has to get special investigators. Blah, 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 blah. By the time he's done, all the money is gone. But I'm hoping that the amount of money we get back from fighting corruption will be tenfold of what we're spending.
I honestly don't know what went into that decision to give 180 million CDs. Well, I think subsequently, in the coming weeks, some further explanation would be given because there have been arguments out there that it's excessive. We know that corruption needs to be fought. We need to show dedication towards fighting corruption. And personally, I wasn't too excited about the president allegedly ordering the reinstatement of the regional director of IOCO. Because IOCO is also another statutory body fighting corruption.
Yeah.
So if IOCO is fighting corruption, and corruption usually has to do with public officials. Public officials appointed maybe by government. So it's not too nice for, let's say, the president to be seen ordering such...
Well, that one was iffy because it wasn't as though he did anything wrong in the corruption front. He just said something that his boss, thought he shouldn't have said. So it's not really, he shouldn't have said. So it's not as though, he erred on his responsibilities or he wasn't credible enough to be in that institution. It's just, I said something about the government, I critiqued the president, my boss suspended me for it, and the president just came in to say, this isn't necessary, guys, get back to work.
Yes,
right? It doesn't have anything to do with their core
but then you're seen as taking orders from someone that should a matter come up, you should be able to investigate.
Yeah, but this matter in itself was not an investigation in any way, shape, or form. It was just a critique.
Yes.
Of government. It wasn't like, the president failed to jail this person, or this person is corrupt, and as a result, I'm getting into trouble for it, right? So I don't think it fits now. The person just said something. It's like me going out to say something,
but
and then my immediate boss says, if I go home for 1 week, and then our MD says, oh, that wasn't anything wrong. If I come back to work,
fantastic.
It doesn't
but
mean
then there should be, for instance, a board that will tell the director of Yoko that, look, what you did was not the best. But then when it's seen as the president, the head of state, or a person in government, in the executive, telling you that, no, reinstate this person, then it becomes difficult. If I take orders from you, how do I investigate you? Okay. It doesn't seem very possible.
That makes sense.
Anyway.
But I was personally excited that the University of Ghana Medical Center Phase 2 will get $50 million. Right? We've been talking a lot
I think Parliament has
about the
already
University
approved
of Ghana
of that amount.
And the medical center being open. You know, right now they're working on Phase 1, so $50 million to Phase 2 is a big deal, especially in a country where we are always worried about our health and the healthcare system in general. So kudos to the finance ministry for making that move, because I think it's about time we started paying attention to all these social institutions.
We should complete every phase. Phase 1, phase 2,
and all other centers, not just UGMC, right? There are other
many. I mean, I think that the whole regional hospital, I think, will be transformed into a teaching hospital come 2019. Amongst others, many other hospitals will be put up.
And the
so
roads
we're really
as well,
excited.
right? I was really happy when he was mentioning all the roads that are going to be worked on in the various regions. We're going to have a railway system. It's really, really refreshing to
the
hear
issue
all
of roads,
this.
of course, would help. Would indirectly, in fact, directly help even with agriculture, because we have. Our farmers are suffering. Many of them, we've seen a lot of reports on CNR, how they try to get their products onto the market, and then it's an issue. It's always an issue. So I think it's a solid thing for our people on the ground. It's refreshing,
and even the railways as well. I was just frustrated last week because honestly, every day after work, I spend no less than 3 hours in traffic, right? And I'm like, we really need to start evaluating the amount of productive hours, the number of productive hours we lose in traffic in my lifetime. So let's say I'm going to live to be 64, 65, which is the average lifespan of a Ghanaian. How many years, how many productive years do I actually spend just stuck in traffic? And how does that rob the nation of the human capital it actually needs to develop, right? And I didn't even look at even the health implications of being stuck in traffic for 3 hours a day. All this pollution from other cars and all how does that actually affect my health as a citizen, right? So I think we should be looking at all of this when we're thinking about our roads, our railways. We're losing human capital to just something that should be fixed, right? Other parts of the world, for you need to get somewhere, 20 minutes you're there, 10 minutes you're there. Why must it take me 3 hours to go from Legon, from Adabraka to Legon every single day? It makes no sense.
And of course, that would feed into the issue of railways, which you already mentioned, because Ghanaians would want alternative means of transportation. And the railways, if they're doing it, they shouldn't, or when the trains come in, they shouldn't be just trains that would be made, for want of a better word,
I mean, we should have some finesse to the kind of things we do. And I won't mind paying a little bit extra for all these services. I'm not one of those people who is excited about owning a car or any of those things. If I can just get up in the morning, get on a train, pay 5 to 10 cedis,
so
that's not the point.
So it's important. I mean, let's put some decency to our trains and our railways. Nothing should stop, let's say, a bank manager
from getting on a train.
Who lives in Pokwase.
Nothing should stop a politician. I mean, politicians are riding bicycles. They can get on the train and get to work. All of us can use it. So we really need to start thinking about that. And I think there was one more thing that I liked. The housing sector. I think we're going to get, what, 1 billion Ghana cedis?
Investment in that. But before we go on to the housing, well, we do have some infographics that we should look at, and I hope it includes the issue of the special cathedral.
Oh, gosh.
They
What do
show
you
the
think of
special
that? We're going to
cathedral.
raise funds for it. Okay, so we're looking at this one. Government's Planting for Food and Jobs program is yielding brilliant results. Going forward, there will be a ready market for farmers following the launch of the Commodities Exchange. We know this was launched sometime last week, right? So this is a good one.
Yeah.
Do you want to get the next one?
Okay, Ghana's appeal as the Ghana's appeal as the preferred investment destination has grown significantly, and we have attracted global industry giants such as Volkswagen, Nissan, ExxonMobil, and Siemens to establish local assembly plants. So that's also a positive thing.
Yeah.
We hope that as many as are coming in, we are not going to destroy the local industry as well.
And then this one says, government has also taken steps to settle almost all claims of DKM customers. The official liquidator received 99,858 claims, and the validated claim amounted to that's 502 million Ghana cedis.
Yeah.
Out of the claims, 79,708, that's 80%, have been settled, and depositors have been paid. That's amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing, but then we need to look at how often or are we always going to use state funds to pay for
bail these things,
to bail depositors out. What are the regulators doing?
Yeah.
That's a very, very important question. Now, based on SNIT data, the private sector added 208,620 formal jobs in the first 10 months of 2018, an increase on the 197,000 formal jobs registered in 2017. So we believe that, per this data, I suppose they're trying to tell Ghanaians that, you know what, all these jobs have been added because we created the conducive business environment for private businesses. So let's get props for that as well.
Now let's talk about your favorite one.
The National Cathedral.
Priorities amongst priorities.
Which one would that be? The National Cathedral?
See, if this were a test, you would have failed. Because you second-guessed yourself.
Yeah, I mean, the National Cathedral, what I have a problem with is the fact that we did get strong indications initially that government is only providing land. Government is only providing land. And because many people were worried that, our taxpayers' monies of Muslims, amongst others, would all be put into...
Even Christians, because I'm a Christian and I'm not trying to,
Yeah, not many people are too enthused about this. Will go into this project, and then we are told that, oh, no, it's only the land that's being provided. The rest will be by the Christian community.
Yeah.
And even some members of the Christian community have come out, or some leading members of the Christian community have come out to criticize this move.
Yeah.
Now, we are told per the budget that there's going to be a seed fund as well.
Yes, but before that, they said they were going to do a fundraiser.
Yeah, 28 December.
Yeah. In December, and then in the US in February. It's quite interesting. Now, I'm interested to see the parties who will participate.
I agree with the fundraiser. That's fine. I agree with the fundraiser. We have come to terms with land being provided. That's also still in question. But land being provided, as to the location of the land, But now,
we should still put a price to all of this, because you're saying yes, government is going to provide. Let me just read exactly what the finance minister said. The state is facilitating this process by providing the land secretariat and seed money for the prep phase.
Yeah.
So what does that actually mean, right? What's the price of the land if the state was not going to give it out, right? What is that price?
The price of the land at the end of the day is for the states. It's not like the state is going to buy the land.
We still need to put a cost to it, right? And whatever else, secretariat, is that going to cost anything?
No, of course it will cost something.
The seed money. What exactly is seed money, right? Because that's relative. What seed money to you?
Yeah.
Seed money to me could be 100 cedis.
Seed
money to you could be like 1,000 cedis.
I'm sure in subsequent weeks there will be clarity on exactly how much, and we are hoping for a proactive minority that will probe, and also us from the media side would also probe.
And citizenry, really, we shouldn't always just leave it to the minority and the media. We are all active participants of our economy.
Okay, so still, I just do not appreciate what appears to be a change in thought, where I think, was it the Deputy Information Minister, Pius Ajide, who said that government is not providing money, it's going to be done by the Christian community themselves. So that's from one side, and then from another side, we're hearing that government is providing seed money. And when the whole state is providing seed money,
it's not necessarily a seed.
If I need some seed money, I need some seed money.
But I like the focus on entrepreneurship, the private sector. You know, I like that we didn't have a lot of taxes and the like. So it was refreshing. But anyway, what are you doing this weekend? Yeah,
tomorrow I'll be at what's the place to call it again? It's Trade Fair. Trade Fair. I'll be on Trade Fair.
We're going to Trade Fair. What's happening at Trade Fair?
Yes, it's the NDC National Executive Election. So the delegates will be there. How many delegates? Well, quite a lot. Yeah. And about 65 aspirants are going for various positions.
Wow.
So we are wishing them all the best.
I'm sure they're going to be like over 10,000 delegates.
Yeah, well, yes. I mean, key position being contested for the General Secretary. General Secretary. We are taking a close eye on it.
We're looking at some of the
aspirants.
The aspirants, yeah.
Okay, so this is the position of the national chairman. Of course, we have Daniana, we have Samuel Ofosu Ampofo, we have Hudu Yaya, we have Dan Abudakpi, and Betty Maud Idrisu. So who's going to be the chairman? Now let's go on to the general secretary. Koku Anido, he's been quite in the media for some time now. I think he does not want to drop a bomb which might affect his election or his chances. And Johnson Asiedu Nketia was come under quite some criticism in recent weeks. They are going for the general secretary position. And then up next is the position of National Communications Officer. Sammy Gyamfi is in there. Sammy Gyamfi is in there. He is a former spokesperson of the Kumasi Mayor, Kojo Bonsu, who intends to run for president himself. And Fred Agbenyo, who has been a national executive for some time now, has some experience under his belt. Let's see how that position would turn out. Now, who's next? National organizer. National organizer. There are quite a few people going there. Is it Magic Jibril and Enokamwa Kunsia? We have Yalboating Jan and Joshua Hamidu Akamba. Anita Disoso is there as well. And Solomon Nkansa, we already know him from his outspoken, nature. And finally, Baba Jamal is also there. Zongo Caucus. The Zongo Caucus, Abdul Aziz Mohammed, Sadiq Usule, Abbas Fuseni Sbabi, and Honorable Ismail Abawa, Alaji Mama Mohammed Ko Jonga. He's also there. Quite a lot of names in there. So let's hope everything.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
We'll just say national
executive members. That was also quite so many names. We'll just skip that one, and we wish them. We wish them all the best at this point. We wish them all the best at this point. So tomorrow is happening at the Trade Fair. Do you have any
aspirants that you? I know.
I'm hoping some people in there win. And yes,
some really credible people.
Yes, I know some really credible people, and I know one person in there that I know is not
you love with all your heart and your soul and everything.
I know he's not credible in the least. He's not credible in the least. And
but guys, we want to hear
I'll
from
just
you.
let it slide for now. But for the good of the National Democratic Congress, I hope they're able to fish him out.
Stop it. So we'll be there tomorrow. It's going to be an exciting day, guys. Let's hear from you. Use the hashtag BreakfastDaily and the WhatsApp line
0550-585-832.
News reviews next. Do not go anywhere.
For regular news checks as they unfold, 2020 news all day, all the time. Politics, sports, entertainment, business, and more.
And that's all for 2020 news on City TV. All the news in 20 minutes.
Okay, welcome back. It's still Breakfast Daily, and it's time for the news review segment for today. Before we introduce our guest, we shall take a look at some of the stories making the headlines, starting with the Daily Graphic.
Let's look at the Daily Graphic. The Daily Graphic says here, 2019 Budget Statement and Economic Policy. Government unveils ambitious plan to grow economy by 7.6% in 2019. That story is on page 3. There's another story here, but Minority says it's empty, uninspiring, hopeless. That story is on page 3. Let's take a look at another story here. 35% on tax. The 35% tax on 10,000 Ghana cedis scrapped. Income above 20,000 now attract 30%.
Yeah.
That story is on page 16. And this and more in the Daily Graphic. We have a lot of interesting stories in the Daily Graphic, but I think they are all, of course, focusing mainly on the budget. What do you have?
Well, still focusing on the budget, let's take a look at the Ghanaian Times. The Ghanaian Times says here that agenda for growth. 2019 budget focuses on massive infrastructural development and government to spend 73.4 billion next year. So you can see a picture here, of course, of the finance minister, Ken Ofori-Atta. And if I told you yesterday that he'll be wearing a white he'll be wearing a white up and down.
He certainly didn't disappoint.
He did. Now, there are some key highlights of the 2019 budget statement. You can see on the left side of the Ghanaian Times, it says estimated total expenditure 73.4 billion, estimated total domestic revenue and grant 58.9 billion, estimated budget deficits of 14.5 billion amongst others, and the list goes on and on. You can see the full details on page 17 this morning of the Ghanaian Times. Another story here says government to launch rearing for food and jobs. So there's been planting for food and jobs, and now rearing for food and jobs. Get more details on page 15 of the Ghanaian Times. And finally, on page 4, cheers, jeers, greet 2019 budget statement. You can see some honorable members of parliament here holding A4 sheets, right, written Boro budget and Hunche budget.
That was an interesting thing that happened yesterday.
Wow.
Okay, now let's take a look at the Finder. The Finder says here, 2019 budget deficit 4.2%, GDP 7.6%. That story is on page 2. It says here, 8.5 billion Ghana cedis capital expenditure, interest payment estimated at 18.6 billion Ghana cedis. That story is on page 2. Banking sector cleanup rises debt stock by 8.3%. That story is on page 5. RTI bill, how the police dealt with media coalition. It's a very sad story. It's very shameful.
Very, very sad. We always talk about police brutality.
It's terrible.
And we see it happening all the time.
Yes. That story is on page 4. Performance of economy in 2018, impressive. That's coming from the finance minister, Ken Ofori-Atta. And that story is on page 8. Finally, more than $1 billion for propelling industrialization. There's a picture here of John Allan Chemanteng, who is the Honorable Minister for Trade and Industry. That story is on page 10.
Now let's take a look at the Daily Guide. The Daily Guide this morning is telling us that Amidu grabs 180 million cedis to fight corruption. Okay, so that's what the Office of the Special Prosecutor shall be getting come 2019 in the budget projections. Mpunzo budget 2019, government unveils 73.4 billion Ghana cedis for roads, railways, free SHS, industries. So beautiful picture here of the Vice President, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, with the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, in Parliament yesterday. And finally, fake doctor busted at Kiseman. So that's what we have on the front page of the Daily Guide this morning.
Okay, now let's take a look at the Gold Street Business. The Gold Street Business says here, government to increase warehouse storage, just coming from the Finance Minister, and that story is on page 2. GTA dialogues with the Tour Operators Union of Ghana on 2019 programs. That story is on page 15. Government failed to give us 200 tractors warehouses in 2018 budget. Small-scale farmers. That story is on page 17. Highlights of the 2019 budget and government's economic policy. 2019 medium-term microeconomic targets. That story is on page 13. 7.6% GDP growth projected in 2019. That story is on page 2. And finally, consumer inflation declines to 9.5%. Also on page 4 of the Gold Street Business.
Now let's take a look at the Informer newspaper. Really interesting headlines over there. Of course, it will be skewed in a particular way. Maybe not. But then the story says, decision day tomorrow. Bold to crush mosquito for NDC victory 2020. Page 4 says, Bank of Ghana exposes arrogant ESLA. Schools here on data protection law. And finally, there's a picture here of Josephine Nkrumah. She is the NCC boss. And it says, for effective and efficient function of NCC, resources key. She is a chairperson of the NCC. And a full story is on page 5 this morning.
Okay, now let's
the Informer.
Take a look at the new Weekend Crusading Guide. Massive development hits Setri East. That story is on page 10. State Housing Company to complete abandoned projects. That's coming from the Finance Minister. Stop deceiving God's children. Salvation not in creatures. That's coming from Elder Bismarck Amwa, a.k.a. Prophet Boshe. Special Prosecutor Maslog back 380 million Ghana cedis cash to fight corruption, promote small-scale enterprises. That story is on page 3 and, of course, is tied into the 2019 budget.
Now let's take a look finally by way of papers. The Independent newspaper. The Independent newspaper says here that only companies with financial muscle would be awarded oil blocks, and this statement is attributed to Dr. Amin Adam. And finally, refusal to pay contractors crippling the economy, and Mahama has this to say, and the full story is on page 2 this morning of the Independent.
Okay, now let's take a look at some online stories, reading from citynewsroom.com. Government to provide seed money for National Cathedral project. We just spoke about that earlier. GH budget, 30% income tax will now hit earnings over 20,000 Ghana cedis. I think this was a brilliant one for them to move it to 20,000. Students optimistic as KNUST reopens today. We wish them all the best of luck. 180 million Ghana cedis for special prosecutor is big. That's coming from Akoto Osei. And 2019 budget full of slogans and propaganda. That's coming from Honorable Muntaka.
Okay, now we'll just introduce our guest for today, but remember that you can join us with the hashtag Breakfast Daily on all social media platforms and the WhatsApp line.
0550-585-832, 0550-585-833. We want to hear from you, so always use the hashtag and the number.
Okay, and we have been joined by Erica Makuchum, who is a government spokesperson. Good morning, Eric. Welcome to Breakfast Daily.
Good morning, Ike. Good morning, Jiva. How are you? I like your hair.
Yeah.
Oh, you do?
But why are you smiling when you say you like the hair and then you look away?
Well, you think it's not a sincere comment?
I don't know. I'm trying to find out.
Because he was making fun of me, that's why.
It's a quintessential African look.
Ah.
Yes.
I said it's part of Nanado's planting for food and jobs. Anyway, the sides of
plan to grow economy by 7.6% in 2019. So yesterday's budget, the theme, of course, was a stronger economy for jobs and prosperity. 2019 budget is the government's third and the country's first revenue and expenditure estimated instrument since 2015 that does not bear traces of IMF and its well-known restrictive conditions. So yesterday we learned about a lot of changes that are going to happen, $50 million for UGMC, the housing sector. So just give us a bit of a review of what happened
some of your highlights.
Your highlights.
Well, thank you very much. Thanks for the opportunity once again. I think this is my second time this week.
You don't
We're
happy to have you.
It's very refreshing that I think that to start with, I would have to commend the Finance Ministry, or even by extension, the Economic Management team for putting together this particular budget. And I'm particularly excited by the fact that this is coming from the backdrop of us weaning ourselves off the IMF and the conditionalities that it comes with. So what it does is that it actually presents an opportunity for us to, as it were, do all the things that we have always wanted to do and what Ghanaians have also clamored for. Now, we're also coming from a backdrop of an economy that the NDC, even in around 2014, had said that the meat has actually already been eaten to the bone. You see, and sometimes when we have these conversations, it's important that we contextualize where we have come from so that we can bring it into perspective. So if you have a certain president at the time telling Ghanaians that the meat has actually been eaten to the bone, what does it mean? It means that the economy had actually been run aground. And this same party had been in power since 2009. So you'd ask yourself this question. I think that our friends in the media should also be asking them these questions, that you were in power for 5 years until the point when your president, or the president at the time, President Mahama, said that the meat had been eaten to the bone. And even when they were taking us to the IMF, even a year before they took us to the IMF, they had come out to say that they were not taking us to the IMF. When the conversation became heated, then they moved from not taking us to the IMF, but taking us to the IMF to seek policy credibility. Yeah. Now, if you want to analyze policy credibility, what it meant was that at the time, the economy itself was in total shambles, was in comatose, and that we had to go to the IMF to get some kind of credibility to be able to even do the basic things that an economy should do. Then we moved on from that to actually a full-blown IMF bailout that came with conditionalities. So if you juxtapose the performance of our economy, and I don't want to even go as far back as 2009, apart from 2011, where because we had the first injection of the oil cash into our economies, look at the growth of the economy, or the performance of the economy, and juxtapose that to President Akufo-Addo's administration, 2017 and 2018. That is when you have a proper economic conversation. As for the politics, we can always do the politics.
But going back to President Akufo-Addo's economy, it says what we found interesting, like, for example, is the debt to GDP ratio right now is over 70%, which is what the IMF warned us of, right? Like the ideal thing is to be at least 70%.
No, but is it reduced? That is wrong.
How is that reduced?
Yes, the debt to GDP ratio after the rebasing of the economy stands at 64%. Even if you look at it from the previous base of the economy, before the rebasing, we had actually reduced it from the 70 to 69%.
But the debt stock, okay, the debt stock is 70%. So let's look at the debt stock.
Yes, so, but you see, that is in absolute figures. Now, don't you confuse the viewers and all of those things. If you look at even the performance of the economy in 2017, for instance, where the economy grew at 8.7%. And then in 2016, when the economy was growing at 3.6%. A casual look at that figure tells you that even in 2017, when there was a marginal reduction even in our debt to GDP ratio, we had the wherewithal or the capacity to be able to cater for that Because because there has been an expansion in the economy. But you see, this is sometimes we also have to drill it down to basics for the ordinary person to appreciate and understand. Again, if you compare that to even our deficit, for instance, their own deficit targets was around 5%. It ended about 9.2%. What it meant was that
to the debt stock. I didn't understand the explanation of it. What does it mean to say that the debt stock is 70% or 70.7% of the GDP?
Yeah, but that is why I'm saying that. That figure itself is erroneous because after the rebasing of the economy, that has dropped. But again, we also look at what is it that the government actually borrowed to do. We inherited an economy that, at the point, the debt stock in terms of normal figures was around 122 billion. And most of these ones were, at the point, maturing. Now, so the ministry had to take a pragmatic approach and said, okay, how do we find a way, especially after the backdrop of going to the IMF and the conditionalities and the fact that there was no fiscal space, how do we find a way of making sure that we are able to support the economy with all the social interventions and stuff that we want to do? So essentially, majority of the monies that came in were a way of actually extending the paying off the imminent interest that we're accruing, right? So that it will give us a bit of space to be able to do the things that we want to do. And that is how you for instance, you manage an economy prudently. You see, for expediency's sake, our friends would say that, oh, when we're in opposition, we said that it was wrong to borrow. Nobody said that. We said prudent borrowing and using the monies properly in a way that would actually forestall some of the things.
The budget in totality seems quite ambitious. I mean, the figures being put out there by way of what the expenditure, for instance, 180 million going to special prosecutor, amongst others. Now, and this also comes in the absence of taxation. How are we going to fund all this? Are we going to bank it on hopes of the century bond, the $50 million century bond? 50 billion, actually.
So essentially what it is that we're coming from a situation where government had to think outside of the box. So for instance, if you look at the Sino-Hydro agreement, for instance, with the using the bauxite as a butter, what it does is that it's going to contribute significantly to our infrastructure development. Again, we have been able to get to a point where even Standard & Poor's, for instance, have actually increased our ratings.
From B- to B.
Yeah, exactly. Now, we have expansion of the economy. We have some huge global players in the space of the car manufacturing, for instance, Volkswagen and Siemens and co. These are coming into our economy. Now, we believe that we're on the cusp of something great, especially when we have moved away from the sort of, if you like, the yoke of an IMF conditionalities and all of those things that our friends took us to. Where even at a point they were reluctant to.
But the question I'm asking is, are we not taking us back to IMF, spending so much coming out of IMF?
Yes.
No.
Because that's the question I asked that you didn't answer. Because we just got out from IMF and we already.
I'm glad that my friend.
IMF was restricting spending generally. IMF was restricting.
I'm glad that
but we have been joined by Sam Jatta George.
Baba, you don't talk to me anymore. Are we not friends anymore?
You wanted me to interject you.
No, I'll try and answer
the invitation to interject.
No interjection. But please wrap up on what we're asking.
So I'm saying that.
Because the confusion is, for the layman, for me, I'm hearing we're going out of IMF. Right now, I guess yesterday even said, IMF was babysitting us, so we are now free. But then I'm also reading that our debt stock is slightly over 70%, which they are worried about. So should we panic? And we're explaining so much money we're going to spend.
The thing is that
yet we don't have enough revenue.
I would concede that some politicians have found a way of, if you like, debasing the conversation even around this whole idea of borrowing and all of this. I can see to that. But the truth of the matter is that if you look at it from that perspective alone, you'll be making a mistake. If you have the capacity, the economy is growing in a particular trajectory, and there's enough productivity locally to be able to cater for what it is that you're borrowing for. So for instance, I'll give you an example for the GET Fund, where $1.5 billion is actually being brought in to support the infrastructure development in the education sector, on the backdrop of the fact that, the GET Fund is a statutory this thing, so that you're able to, one, collateralize the monies that come to the GET Fund. But because we need those projects today, or even yesterday, if you like, right, we're able to do some of these things. So that is really on the backdrop of an economy that is the right trajectory. Now, for us to be able to do so again, it looks at the prudent management of the resources that we have. So, for instance, the minister made mention of the savings that we've been able to make, even from the PPA perspective, for instance, where our friends had a certain, if you like, obsession with sole sourcing, where we have made significant, gains in that particular regard. If you look at the execution and deployment of the paperless system at our ports, for instance, it's brought efficiency into the system. So that's also comes from the point where our friends were even quite confused at a point where actually predicting certain things that, there's absolutely no way we'll be able to fund this particular budget without increasing taxes and all sort of other, if you like, for local parlance, they call it huhudious predictions, trying to just cause fear and panic. So for me, I think that
thank you.
We would have to commend the president for showing the conviction that even on the backdrop of IMF conditionalities, the state of the economy that was bequeathed to us and all of those things, has gone ahead to implement the free SHS, planting for food and jobs, giving jobs to 100,000 graduates who were unemployed under their work for 4 or 5 years. They didn't have anything. So this is where we are. We're on the cusp of something phenomenal. And I believe that our friends will support it. You see, the budget is going to be debated in Parliament in the next few days or so, right? And you'll be surprised that these arguments that they come and sit on platforms like this to make.
Thank you very much,
will change.
Eric.
They will actually go there and do probably an intellectual analysis of the budget.
Thank you. Now, the theme for this budget is stronger economy for jobs and prosperity. And as we saw yesterday, the minority did not look too optimistic about it. So let's hear your initial comments on this budget.
A very good morning to you and to my brother Eric, my friend Eric. To our good listeners also. And let me just say I like the African look, the batakari, and then the African print with the hairstyle. Pretty good.
Thank you.
And let me just a disclaimer that I am going to be making an intellectual analysis here. He suggested that we'll come on TV and make comments, and when we go to Parliament for the debate, we'll make intellectual analysis. That suggests that on radio and TV, we're not making intellectual analysis.
But your people have gone on record to say that the budget is empty, for instance. That cannot be intellectual.
So let's
I'm just trying to help him.
That cannot be intellectual. I think he's fine.
Thank God. All right.
So I'm going to be making an intellectual analysis of the budget. Yesterday wasn't just a minority that didn't look optimistic. There was no energy in the chamber. We've seen budgets. I mean, the 2017 budget that was read by Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta, the first budget of this government, there was a lot of energy in the chamber. You could feel the optimism on the side of the majority and all of that. That's what they termed the Asempa budget. But looking at yesterday's budget, it's been described as empty, and that's a view I share, because it was more very good verbiage, flowery language, but very low and light on substance. You expected to see critically how government intends to raise revenue to bridge the funding gap that we are seeing in the country for two projects or two areas of spending. One, the free SHS. Clearly, the free SHS is a huge guzzler of government revenue. We're having to do a double track system. In the 2019 fiscal year, you would have all three streams become fully functional on the free SHS, from SS1 to SS3, because the 2019-2020 academic year will start. You'd have expected to see something that indicates how government is going to cope with the increased intake, so that we don't have the situation we're having here. Remember, when we started this discussion of the double track, I came on this platform and said government was not thinking, because that is something we saw coming. It's going to happen again in September next year. In the budget, they're silent on it. Nothing, no plan for it. So we will get to September next year and we'll start another ad hoc measure. Another line of expenditure that government you want to see is in capital expenditure, CAPEX. In 2016, we spent 4.5% of our entire GDP on capital expenditure. Capital expenditure is the way you build social intervention, social infrastructure, and all of that. 4.5% of our GDP was committed to capital expenditure. In 2017, it dropped from 4.5% to 3.5% of GDP. In 2018, it dropped to 1.1% of GDP. This budget is projecting that they will step it up to 2.5%. That's a projection. And so, if you're reducing more and more on capital expenditure, which is the way government gives back to the ordinary Ghanaian. That's why you have our roads in the kinds of states where they are. Don't forget, people say that, oh, if you fixed the roads, then there should not be problem with the roads. The roads are built and are maintained on a yearly basis. When you fail to do that maintenance, you see the deterioration that we have right now. So those are some of the issues. And it's because government is not spending on capital expenditure. Again, you don't see anything in this budget that suggests that. In the fight against corruption, and when I walked in, I heard council speak about the revenue, the budgeted amount. Again, an allocation. Allocations are not the same as disbursements. 180 million. Sometime this week, I think on Monday or Tuesday, we saw the epistle from Mr. Martin Amido, and I believe he spoke on your radio station, Eyewitness News. He's asking for 360 million for the year to fund his office. He's been given half, or he's been allocated half of that. Okay, we hope he even gets a quarter of the half that has been allocated. That in itself is another issue. Because don't forget, in 2018, there was allocation for his office. But he's been complaining that his office has been starved. So allocation is not the same as actual cash that's been given. Again, when you look at hardships, and here, for me, we can discuss all the fine macroeconomic indicators. How does that relate to the ordinary person? Okay, that's what we should begin to ask ourselves. Let's move away from the macroeconomics. When we're in government, we also threw those figures around.
But the macroeconomics trickles down to the micro.
No, not in an economy like Ghana.
Okay.
Let's be real with ourselves. In an economy like Ghana, that is why the Bank of Ghana will reduce the base rate, but commercial banks will not drop interest rates. There's no correlation. Our economy is not built along the Bretton Woods economies, the Western economies, where when the Fed drops base rate by even 0.5%, you see the effect on the economy. It doesn't happen that way in this country. The macroeconomic, I mean, you had the finance minister so detached from reality. Forgive me to say that. Tell us
in which way?
Tell us in Parliament yesterday that food prices are dropping.
It is.
Food prices in this country. Well, I've run into Jiffa at the mall before. I mean,
you shop at the mall?
We all buy stuff. You understand me? We buy stuff at the malls. We buy stuff in the markets. And we know if prices are coming down. And that's what I'm saying.
Things are expensive at the Raka market, for example.
I mean, your viewers who are watching us will tell. I mean, if Sam George is lying, if prices are coming down and I'm saying they're going up, they will know I'm lying. Okay? But we live in Ghana. And so if anybody's telling us that food prices are dropping in this country, I mean, so be it. But again, there were, for me, very important sticking points. And you see that I have the budgets here.
Yes,
I just want to do a quick exercise.
We'll come back. We'll go for a break.
Then you delve into the budget.
Into the sticking points that you want to talk about.
Because I just want to give you an example of how this budget is just a rehash of old stuff.
Okay, so we'll come back. Anyway, so this is still Breakfast Daily. Remember to keep your comments coming in with the hashtag Breakfast Daily and, of course, the WhatsApp line. 0550-585-832. We'll be right back.
City TV is live. City TV is a free-to-air digital channel. On a digital TV, please press menu on your remote control and run a news search on your TV. Take note that without an antenna, you cannot access City TV on your television. City TV can be accessed on a multi-TV digibox. Tune into City TV and experience your world. City TV, it's your world.
Thank you very
back.
much.
This is Breakfast Daily on City TV. Now, before the break, we were discussing the 2019 budget that's themed stronger economy for jobs and prosperity. Now, Honorable Sam George was going to give us some closing remarks.
To do something for me. This is the 2017 budget. I'm going to give that to you.
Okay.
And then this is the 2018 budget. I'm going to give that to you, Council. So you check, I think, paragraph 536, and you check paragraph 510.
Okay.
Yeah, good.
So we start 2017.
Yes. No, so just don't close it. Hold
Read
on.
it.
Don't worry,
Yes.
I'm not closing
No.
Oh, just check it.
I'm now going to read.
I'm confirming the document. Before I take reference.
Before you make reference to it.
Thank you.
Fantastic. So you have the 2018.
Yeah.
And you have the 2017.
Yes.
Now I have the 2019.
Okay.
That was read yesterday. Page 80. Paragraph 115.
Okay.
Mr. Speaker, and I'm going to be listing things that were said in the 2019 budget, and I want you to look at the 2018 budget, paragraph 536, and the 2017 budget, paragraph 510.
Okay.
Mr. Speaker, in line with our commitment to complete projects commenced under the previous administration, the following ongoing projects will also be financed. 1. Bridge on the Volta River at Volivo. You see it in the 2017 budget?
Yes, that's the
You see it in the 2018 budget?
I don't see it in the 2018
536, is there? Construction.
536.
Volta is right here.
536.
Yeah.
Construction.
Volta River.
Is
the same thing here.
Yes. Okay, good. 2. Nsawam Apedra Road. Do you see it in the 2018 and 2017?
Yes. Yeah.
3. Bolgatanga Boku Polmakrom. Do you see it in both budgets?
Yeah.
Nkwanta Oti Damango Road.
In the same order. Yeah.
Yes.
Oti Damango Napanduri Road.
Breku
Sepa. Mention the next one. Dualization of whole main roads.
Yeah.
Whole bypass. Kumasi Roads and Drainage Extension Project. Those are the 10 that are listed in here.
Yeah.
And you see all of them in the
It could
2017
be a continuation.
and 2018.
Right? No. Okay.
It says the following projects will also be financed. That's what it's saying in the
Well, but here it said that it will be
Continuation.
constructed.
Over here too, it says
Yeah,
continuation.
2017 it says constructed.
Constructed.
Yes,
Here it
this
says
one says
continuation.
continuation.
Here it says will be financed.
So that means
now
it's-
I'll tell
It
you
means
what.
it's the same
It's
project
the same-
that's being
So
continued.
you're
So it
constructing
tells-
it, you're
no.
continuing, and you're financing
Sam
it.
John, you do not want us to read the beginning.
No. I'm going to explain what's going on to you.
Okay.
And why we're saying that we're going to tread with caution with the 2019 budget.
Okay, because from what I'm seeing, it's being constructed,
Here's where
it's
it
being
started.
continued, and it's
Fantastic.
being financed.
Fantastic.
So it's
Fantastic.
actually a continuation.
Now, if you speak, you can send your reporters to the Volta River, the Volivo crossing of the Volta River, and see if anything has started. This was said in 2017 that it was going to commence. It didn't commence. In 2018, they said continuation. That was a misrepresentation of the fact. Nothing had started yet. They say continuation. Now in 2019, they say they are going to finance it. How do you finance something that is already in process? Many of these projects, we were told 2 years ago will start. Last year, we were told they were ongoing. Many of these projects, in Chidadieso Road, no work is going on there. It's not even been put on tender yet. You understand me? So if promises were made to us last 2 years, they weren't fulfilled. Promises were made to us last year, they weren't fulfilled. The same promises have been packaged again and given to us. What hope do we have of fulfillment?
Okay.
Now, again,
Let's end you here so that Eric can also respond.
Okay, my last wrap up.
Your last point, please.
We have seen the story that has made the rounds around the National Cathedral.
Yes.
And we've been comfortably told always that government was not going to invest money. We've discussed it here.
Yeah.
Government was not putting any money in there.
only given the land.
We're only given the land. And we even argued about that and said that itself came with a cost. Yesterday, the finance minister told us that government was actually going to be committing our taxpayers' money as a seed fund to it. Article 35 of the Constitution states that government must ensure a harmonious integration of all religions, ethnicities, and tribes. So now, if government is going to be putting taxpayers' money into a Christian cathedral, then are we also going to then say that we're going to put money into a Muslim mosque? Are we going to put money into a Baha'i temple? Are we going to put money into the Nine Wulomes shrine? Are we going to be doing this? Or are we going to be doing this just for the Christians? How does that sit with Article 35? Because when they said government was not going to be putting its money, everybody said, that's fine. It sits in line with the integration and non-discriminatory nature and spirit of Article 35. When we go into the budgets debates, as he said, you would realize the exposés that will come out. I'll give you a typical example. Paragraph 141 of this budget that was read. The Minister for Finance speaks about an ICT park in Dawa, which is in my constituency, and states that the project is ongoing and will be completed in 2019. As I speak to you, government has not even taken acquisition of the land, the land sites. The project has a construction time of 18 months. You've not even taken the land. You are still discussing and negotiating compensation with the family you want to take the land from. Originally, the project was supposed to be on a 10-acre land. Now you say you want 40 acres. You are still discussing compensation with them. Title has not even been transferred to you. The people from Mauritius have not even landed in Ghana to start. Yet you come and tell us in Parliament that the project is ongoing, a project that has a gestation period of 18 months and will be completed in 2019. Does 2019 have 18 months? Then it's going to be a really long year.
Thank you. Eric, Honorable Sam George, he said a lot.
You see, I thought that we would move away from this particular route. For the purposes of this 2019 budget, I will not try and sort of react to everything that he says. But in terms of completion of projects and how it actually features in budgets, if you like, you can take the budget from 2001. You remember the famous Gang of Six Roads? And you can check from when it was, what's his name? The former Minister for Finance at the time, Dr. Kwabena Dufo, and read every single budget that he presented to Parliament and find out that over the period we've had some kind of structural issues with even the funding of some of these infrastructure projects, especially when they are GOG projects. You remember the Fufuso Solar Road? You were at GBC at the time, and I used to come on the show. Every single year it was in the budget. You remember the Eastern Corridor roads, right? So these are things that, I mean, and government has actually shown commitment to doing these things. You see, when you also go away from the main issues and you start trying to cast aspersions, for instance, the Kufuor Affordable Housing Project, what happened to it under your watch? For 8 years, you didn't touch it.
That's not correct.
You did not touch it. For 8 good years, you did not touch it.
But that's not correct.
Yesterday, the Minister of Finance announced that monies have been secured, as we speak today, to finish those projects. You understand? So, you see, for me, I think that me and Sam, we are young. We are younger. We are of a younger generation. We are probably going to be doing this thing for another 20, 30 years or so. So, sometimes we need to be able to move away from that classical orientation, or this is purely politics, and deal with the issues. You understand? That's why
he was critiquing it, which is in his right to do so as a Ghanaian. You have the right to ask questions.
The caution that you would give me if I take the budget from 2016, for instance, and start repeating this, and so it's equalization. However, we need to be able to contextualize or even bring some of this conversation into perspective.
Let's assume. Let's
coming
admit,
from someone like Sam,
let's take the situation that okay, they did all that during their time. Let's assume they did all that during their time. Now this time he is saying that there's you said there's an ICT in your constituency.
Yes, but those are specifics that, as I said, I can also tell him that in his constituency, the Sea Defense Project has been given out to contract. It will start very soon. You understand?
I will respond to that. I will respond to that.
You see, that is why
isn't it problematic? For example, let me
just not at all. You see, I expected, for instance, when Sam and his people 2 days prior to the reading of the budget came out to predict doom and gloom as to what will be in the budget. I would have expected that they would say that, oh, we were wrong to start with. But you see, when you want to go fishing, you can catch anything.
No, in a nutshell, what he's saying is that
people
why is the minister
in the sea and everything?
Why is the minister telling us projects are ongoing when the projects have not even started?
You see,
and when you look at what he says there,
you're taking Sam's word.
So you are saying those projects have started?
Are you saying I'm lying about stuff in my constituency?
I cannot sit here and pretend that I know every single project that is ongoing in this country. That would be a lie. But I'm saying that you can't also take, because it takes processes.
I'm speaking about my constituency. I didn't speak about any other constituency.
I'll give you an example. Last time, I think this Monday or the previous Monday when I was here, you know this so-called 123 schools that they said that they were building and that they were at various stages of completion and everything. I've asked that because when it comes from me, it becomes bias. Let's go and find out at some of these particular places the process that they had actually undertaken to actually go around the country, banding 123 schools at various stages of completion. He's talking about land and all of those things. Some of these things were even mere drawings. We had phantom projects in their so-called green book. Phantom projects. I followed the Minister of Railway Development to somewhere in the Western region, where 2 or 3 days before the elections at the time, they hurriedly went there and put quota there to say that they finished the project. That was one of the railway projects. As we speak today, there are new things are being done to make that thing even functional. When they went there to launch the thing, the people who went there to, the supporters that they bashed from everywhere, got stuck in the quota.
Well, we can also confirm that. We
got
can
stuck
also
in the
confirm that.
quota.
But we're
So
discussing the budget right now, Eric.
Because they've always had this propaganda orientation.
Okay.
They think that everybody is like
so
that,
touch
but
on the
that's not the
seed
case.
fund bit. Why are we giving a seed fund for the National Cathedral?
You see, this
Why don't we
conversation,
just fundraise it?
I'm extremely careful not to go the route that...
So don't go there, just answer the question.
My good friend here is going. You see, for me, that social cohesion, religious cohesion, or whatever, is important for us in this country. And I will shy away from preferring personal views on that, because I'm a Christian, for instance. It would look at... But to be honest with you, this whole conversation around the National Cathedral is purely a political expedient thing for the NDC, because there's something, there are some people out there...
We're both
listen. The idea of a cathedral, for me, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Government has stated that if it puts seed money, for instance, or even the land belongs, there are things that government has done in the past. All the schools, the various schools that you went to Presec, right? The land was given to them. Is it not?
But a school is different from a
you
religious
understand?
body.
So, but it's a Christian school. There are so many other things. Maybe what do you call Christian or religious hospitals and all of those things. Yeah, but that is it.
The government did say for a lot of Islamic schools.
But that is why I'm saying that. You see,
especially after we're told that it's only land that's going to be given.
Exactly.
We have used state resources to fund people going on pilgrimages and things before, haven't we? We do it all the time.
No, I don't.
We have.
If they are part of government, yes.
No, we
but
have used.
for themselves.
Listen, we have used state resources, right, to fund programs or people going on pilgrimages from time immemorial.
Okay.
You understand? That's what I'm saying. That you see, we have to be extremely careful when we have this conversation, because listen. So how would a national cathedral, for instance, hurt the nation? You understand? He is preferring some legal implication or constitutional implication and all that. That means that we have to be extremely careful. So we can go back and say that, okay, then it means that the state should absolutely have nothing to do with anything pertaining to religion.
Actually
we actually have a ministry responsible for that, chieftaincy and religious affairs. What do they do?
Okay, thank you very much,
So
Eric.
for me,
we do have to wrap you up.
This whole idea that there's something untoward about it and everything is one of the same red herrings thing. Because it's coming from an NPP administration, let's go out there, because there's always going to be a group of people.
Maybe it would have been fair to
against
Ghanaians if you had not told Ghanaians that it's going to be land alone. No, this was coming from members of government, executive members of government.
So we also went ahead to say that funds are going to be raised from individuals, organizations, and all that to do so. You understand? So for me, but we do all sorts of things in this country.
Thank you.
Listen,
we have
say one thing and then change your mind later.
I haven't.
No,
listen, we do
Eric,
these things where people die in this country. We use state money to do state funerals and all of those things.
They shouldn't come out and tell us that it's going to be land alone.
I am saying that we have to tread cautiously, not to delve into some kind of either xenophobic or religious intolerance and all of this.
Thank you very much, Eric.
We move way beyond that.
Eric starts his rebuttal by trying to position it or paint a picture of me playing to the gallery and me not addressing the budget. I mean, the budget is made up of specifics. I have addressed specifics
No,
in
I didn't
the
say
budget.
that. You're my
You
friend. I
understand
didn't
me?
say that.
I have addressed specifics in the budget. Again, the contradiction in Eric's submission. Eric says that he doesn't know my constituency and he can't speak to the fact of the ICT part, but he can make reference to a sea defense project in my constituency. Now, let me tell you what it is. That is my constituency. I'm the MP. I chased the Minister for Works and Housing the whole of 2017. And the 2018 budget is here, paragraph 524, where they state that the ministry will commence the construction of sea defense projects. And here again, listen to the language. In 2018, I hope you're listening. In 2018, the ministry will commence the construction of sea defense projects at Axim, Cape Coast, New Ningo Pram Pram, Shama, and Mensangini in Accra. 2018, the ministry will commence. Today is what? The 16th of November. A contract has not been signed yet. You claim an award has been given. I have followed up as MP with the ministry. The ministry has identified a contractor to work on the site. The contractor is saying that I will not sign a contract if I'm not going to be giving mobilization. Because you're giving him a contract, you owe that contractor over $50 million in work he's done that has not been paid, and then you're asking him to go and commence a new project that is over $20 million, and you are not giving him even mobilization. So no contract has been signed as we speak, yet you told us you will commence it. And then you now come and sit here and tell me you are doing a sea defense. This is the untruth from government that I speak about. You don't tell us you will start a project or you've started a project. In the 2019 budget, if you take it, they claim that this is an ongoing project. A sea defense in Ningo Pram Pram. Go to Old Ningo and see if even one person has come there, even one excavator has come to site. Yet you say it's an ongoing project. It is this untruths we're speaking about. Again, Eric, look, I'm also a Christian.
But what Eric
in the
said
Bible,
was...
the Bible says to us in Ecclesiastes that for everything there is a time and there is a season. You understand me? Nobody's against us having a national place of worship.
But would we
You
be
understand?
ever ready
The question
to do
I am
that?
asking is, as a nation, what is our priority? Is that our priority among priorities when we can't even fix 12 footbridges on the Adenta Medina Road? As Christians, in the Bible, it used to be prophets who speak to kings, who speak wisdom to kings when kings are erring. As Christians, it behoves on us to tell our governments that yes, you want to do this, but it is wrong. I'll give you a typical example. When I was in government, the Christian body took up a stance like that against the NDC administration. Originally, I was paved at it, but then I sat down with senior men of God, archbishops and bishops in this country, and engaged them on it because I felt that it was a wrong move by them, and they explained to me that as men of God, they would not jump at everything that is thrown at them, but they will speak wisdom to authority. And I saw where they were coming from. They used scripture to convince me on that. When President Mahama said that we commit state funds, like he said, to the Muslim pilgrimage, and so he wanted to institute a Christian pilgrimage. You remember, in 2014, the clergy, the Christian Council, came out and said they did not need it, and that there was need for infrastructure in education and health.
But respectfully, now they're asking for it.
No,
they're
not asking for it.
It's the Christians who want
No,
it.
this whole idea of a national cathedral was mooted by the presidency.
It actually came from the government.
It came from the government. It didn't come from the Christian body. You understand me? And so
with the support of the Christian community. That's it.
It didn't
we're
come from
talking about where it came from.
You
So it
understand
came
me?
from the first
And on another platform, I asked a simple question: why do we need a cathedral? They said for a place of worship. We want to have a national big space of worship. And I said, Archbishop Duncan Williams Church seats more than 5,000 people. My church I attend, Bishop Charles Ajinasai, our dome seats 15,000 people. The oil dome that's been built by Sam Kranchankra is going to seat another 15,000 people. Dag Heward Mills seats about 10,000 people at the Kodesh. So why are we building a 5,000-seater cathedral? Then I was told that it's supposed to be for things like presidential inaugurations. Then I said, why do we want to do this to ourselves as a political class? We ask people to wake up at dawn, go and queue, and vote for us. When we become president, and the one and only time the masses can actually see you in person is that you're swearing in at the Black Star Square. Now we want to make it the preserve of a few elite people because 5,000-seater auditorium is going to be strictly by invitation. You want them to go and stand in the sun and vote for you, but you want them to watch you on TV. They didn't cast their vote for you on TV. Then the other argument was that then we'll use it as a place for funerals. When President Mills died, did we bury him? Did we have his funeral on the streets? Didn't you have a place to bury him? Or to conduct his funeral? When Busumuro died, didn't we have a place to conduct his funeral? The reasons that are being given for this cathedral and the cost of it And I'm asking,
but
as
now
Christians,
we're fundraising, so it's fine.
is that no? Look, if our government is willing and able to go and fundraise from individuals, I think that our government should rather focus that energy to fundraise, to fix some critical roads in our country, to fix some hospitals. We are being told that we need to get a loan to make the University of Ghana Medical Center functional for phase 2, that there are critical equipment there. Is it not going to be more impactful on Ghanaian lives
to channel those
that fundraising instead of going for a loan? Let's ask Ghanaians in the diaspora to commit funds for us to do that. That is a practical government.
You and then wrapping up,
he says that yes. He says no. In 30 seconds, please. In 30 seconds, he speaks about the beauty of, in his earlier submission, moving away from the IMF and policy credibility and no taxation and all of that. And all of that. Let me tell you what. In this government, in 30 seconds, I'll touch on the debt stock. No, I can do all of that in 1 minute. In 30 seconds, look, let me tell you something. We have new taxes in this budget. You know why? The NDC introduced a national fiscal stabilization levy of 5%. Okay? Now, it had a sunset clause. It was to end on the 31st of December 2017. So it meant that from 2018, there was not to be a 5% stabilization levy. The 2018 budget did not terminate it. It actually extended it. The 2019 budget has not ended it. It's extended it again. So every time the budget allows that stabilization levy to run, it becomes a new tax, that or a continuation of an old tax, which becomes a new tax. Because the old tax that was instituted by the NDC should have ended in 2017. The same thing for the 2% of the special import levy, which was imposed, which was also supposed to end on the 31st of December 2017. This budget is silent again. The 2016 manifesto of the NPP promised to drop income tax, corporate tax from 25% to 20%. That didn't happen in 2017. It didn't happen in 2018. It's not happening in 2019. The luxury tax that affects people who go to farms. And I have a lot of farmers in my constituency. Many of them use 1999
You said pickups. You're wrapping up in 30 seconds.
Yes. And many of them have to pay a luxury tax for a 10, 15-year-old car because of the capacity of the vehicle. When you look at our debt stock, which has grown now to 170 billion Ghana cedis, increased by 40 billion. 40 billion in 21 months, and you juxtapose that against an increase in revenues for government from oil, an increase of 80.4%, thanks to the 10 fields that John Mama invested in, which we are now getting the dividends from. You have increase in oil revenue, you have an increase in debt stock, and you can't see the projects. 40 billion. What projects can we see for it?
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you
now
very
let's
much.
take a look at this particular story.
No,
and we are touching on this particular story. I'm reading from page 4 of The Finder. Says some police and military personnel yesterday detained the editor of the Finder newspaper at Parliament Police Station, accusing him of taking photos of military personnel who destroyed a placard of a member of the Media Coalition on Right to Information bill in front of the Accra International Conference Center. So yesterday, around the premises of Parliament, it was really, really sad when a journalist is trying to fight for this particular bill to pull through. And we are touching on this story really briefly. So, Eric.
Well, I just need 30 seconds to react
go ahead.
to some.
30 seconds.
30 seconds. You see, ask him. I want to ask him this question. Who was at the helms of this country in 2014? The NDC. Yeah. At the time when President Mahama, former President Mahama, came to say that the meat has been eaten to the bone, who was at the helms of affairs? What were the decisions that they took? At the time when they said that they were actually instituting homegrown policies, it still led us to the IMF. It still led to the fact that for the very first time in the history of this country, we had an association called Unemployed Graduates Association.
No, I don't want us to do this back and forth. Let's move on with the story.
No, it is important. Eric, it is important that we ask these questions. You know, so now these same people now turn round.
It's not about the same people. Imagine we are asking you. These are valid questions, and we are the ones asking you.
I need.
Eric, let's move on.
I need answers to these things.
Okay,
thank you.
Okay,
so
after the show,
I'm sure he will do so.
With his last statement. So
it's. I think it was somewhere last week that we had this conversation again surrounding some journalists. I think it was around Adenta also, and a few things that happened in the past. These things should be condemned in the strictest form and can never be countenanced.
From where I'm sitting, the IGP seems unconcerned.
Please, let me finish.
From where I'm sitting, I just have to let you know.
It cannot be countenanced. It's not something that looks good on us as a people, as a democracy. Because, I mean, some of these things sort of takes away from the strides that we've made as a democratic state. And it has to be checked. It has to be clear-cut, almost like a policy, with stringent and things that would actually compel some kind of action when these things happen, so that it becomes almost like a deterrent. We can't continue doing so. For instance, even ordinary citizens have decided to take the law into their own hands when they see journalists or things goes, or they find a journalist who would say something that they feel that is negative to them. But we can't allow that to happen. I do not have full view of exactly what transpired. The funny thing is, I was actually with Elvis in Parliament yesterday. I was on one of the platforms, and so I was quite surprised that right after that particular conversation, this thing happened. It's wrong. It has to be investigated and dealt with properly. We can't count on us enough. There's no reason for that.
Now, Sam, since you are from the NDC, in touching on the RTI, I want you to wrap up with what to look for. Yes. Tomorrow, Saturday.
Okay. In responding to the question he asked me, I just have in 10 seconds. In 10 seconds, the finance and insurance sector, in the first and second quarter of 2018, declined by 7.9% and 13.4%. That is your record.
Please move on.
That is your record.
Please move on.
That's not the
coming to the RTI. You asked the question.
Please move on.
Please, coming to the RTI and the issues that happened yesterday. It's unfortunate that our comrade and brother Elvis Darko went through that ordeal. I've always established the fact that there needs to be a certain training for our security services on the role of the media. And our media also has to appreciate the role of security, because it appears that it was the military personnel that were deployed because the vice president was coming to Parliament that had an issue with the proximity. I mean, and they are doing their job as security persons. If anything goes wrong with the vice president, they would answer questions, and so they have to do their job. I made this point when the issue happened with Parker and President Mahama's entourage. Security people have a certain orientation, protection of their principal. Media men also have a certain orientation, getting the story. But why don't we see this happen in other jurisdictions? It's because the political class always engages in briefings that entertain the media. So the media in the US is not always pushing to get into the face of the political actor because they know they'll get briefings. If we're able to handle all of this well, I think we'll get to a good place. Again, I think some of our laws are too colonial. And need to change, because the law that says that you cannot picket around Parliament, I mean, I'm a member of Parliament, but I don't see the danger to MPs. If someone comes to sit in the chamber or sits in the gallery and wears a branded t-shirt, it does no harm to us as MPs. But you see, it was a repressive policy of the colonial regime
and we've maintained
to stop the then Gold Coasters from protesting, and we've maintained it now. And so that is why the police in Parliament would use, the parliamentary police would use that as a grounds to arrest you for wearing a shirt.
Touch on the elections tomorrow.
Tomorrow's elections are going to be pretty interesting and hopefully peaceful. We would elect the next crop of national executives that would lead the party to victory come the 2020 election. I'm confident that you see that there's a high number of people who are contesting, and it simply means that people see the NDC as attractive and think that they can contribute their opportunity. There's a huge swell. I wish all our delegates from across the country who've already embarked on the journey, who are headed for the Trade Fair Pavilion. Tomorrow is going to be a family affair. We will make sure that the right things are done. That I must state. We will not allow a circumvention of any of our laid down rules or the electoral rules. So anybody who has any such intentions should not show up at the pavilion. We will make sure that the right things are done, and the will and true will of the delegates in the NDC Congress will emerge tomorrow.
Okay, so by right thing, we may know gas cookers and no issues.
I have not said that.
Can't I take a bite?
Just take a bite. 5 seconds, please.
How? 5 seconds.
Just anything. Just as close.
You need to come and give us.
5 seconds. He's wishing you luck.
No, let's wrap it up now. No, thank you very much.
All the best. I see the Coco and
Hey, no. You have nothing to say. There's nothing to say.
Thank you very much, Eric Abakuchu, government spokesperson, and of course, Samuel Nate George, aka Jata, the MP of Ningo Pram. Up next, we're going to talk about relationships. How does money play? We just finished the budget.
Does money matter?
How important is money in a relationship? Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
They say lies in the eyes of the beholder, and at Second Image, getting that beauty is our priority, with services for facials for spots and wrinkles, body treatment for body shaping and slimming, hairstyling for bridal dressing, body massage, manicure and pedicure, artificial nail extensions, guarantees you that perfect body and skin. Second Image also offers training for students in hairdressing, beauty therapy and fashion, and design up to HND level. Our course duration ranges from 2 to 6 weeks for short courses or up to 2 years. Second Image also runs a special foundation program for JHS leavers in hair and beauty therapy, dressmaking and electronics. Contact us now on 0243-331-999 or 0302-221-376, or you can locate Second Image next to Adamaka Police Station, Kwame Nkrumah Avenue, or visit us at secondimagegana.com. Admissions run throughout the year. Second Image gives you a new image. Second Image, be empowered to succeed.
Jakoro Ventures Limited is the waste service provider franchised by the AMA to provide services within Osuklote South Metro. We also operate within Zone 2 of the Adentan Municipal Assembly. Our proficient refuse and segregated waste collection crew ensures timely and quality service delivery at every service point. Our friendly management and supervisory staff are always available on call for our cherished clients. We engage in partner organizations to clean up the city and beaches as part of our corporate social responsibility towards making Accra the cleanest city in Africa. Embark on public sensitization and educational outreaches on environmental and sustainable waste management options. We advocate reuse and self-separation of waste, paper, plastic, and organic, to which value can be added through recycling. Smega 16 award-winning company in waste and recycling manufacturing. Implementing partner to Mayor of Accra initiative on waste segregation in basic schools in Osuklote. Jakora, the waste management professionals.
About me, they tell you I'm about my bread.
moya oyingcwele phindu khulume Nkosi yami phindu khulume Thixo ndimamele phindu khulume Nkosi yami.
Hi, this is Patrick Duncan, and you are watching Breakfast Daily on City TV.
Manifest your glory as we come before your presence. Hello, everybody. This is Enyonyam. Keep watching CCTV Breakfast Daily.
What's up? My name is DKB. As you know, Ghana is a third world country. We are a poor country trying to get to middle income status. So, of course, food security is low and nutritional deficiency is high. But if you want your breakfast on a daily, keep watching Breakfast Daily. We'll give you a breakfast every day. As I talk right now, I've had my Unapo.
Welcome back. This is Breakfast Day on CCTV. And I promised you guys we'll read some of your comments. We didn't get a chance to do that for the news review, so I'll just go through a few of them and then we'll discuss our big topic. Should money be a big deal in relationships? So let's just briefly read some of your comments. So this is from Charles Nyami. He says, after yesterday's budget statement, there is this one thing I've come to realize you can't take away from this MPP government, and that's their courage to lie, deceive, and disrespect the Ghanaian populace. But at least the post-budget reaction across the country should tell us that people are more discerning now. Best wishes tomorrow to Chairman Ofosu Ampofo and Shirley Aite and lawyer Baba Jamal. It's another comment here. Charles Nyami from Amankese says, after yesterday's budget statement, there is, the same exact thing. Good morning. The finance minister said food prices has dropped. Tell him to come and ask us restaurant operators how we are doing. We are facing serious challenges how to keep our prices the way they are because consumers are complaining. Prices are so high that I have to change some products. This is Ashoman Estate Babs. What the finance minister said about DKM is 100% true because even some of the DKM customers have confirmed that they've received some payments of their money from DKM. The finance minister mentioned DKM, but not God is Love or any other bank. This year's budget is hopeful. Ghanaians shall see better days ahead. President Akufo-Addo is really working for the betterment of the ordinary Ghanaian. This is Yao Osankide from Taifa. So we're going to just delve into the next topic. Let us know your thoughts on it before we start the conversation, right? We want to know, talking about relationships again, but at this time, we're going to look at the perspective of money. Should money be a big deal in relationships? I've been joined by Melissa Award, who is the co-host of a lot of shows, 30 Minutes. Yes. She's on 30 Minutes. She's the host of Art and Soul. And of course, we occasionally see her on News Connect as well. Good morning, Melissa. Good morning. How are you?
I'm fine, and I'm loving this new you switched it up on us.
Yeah, what do you think?
It's definitely you.
Aww.
I like it. Yeah, I love it.
I hope that's a compliment.
Of course it is. Okay. And these are Bantu knots.
Yes, these are Bantu knots.
That's the correct term.
Yes, Bantu knots. Yeah, yes.
Love it.
Wilberforce has a different name for it, but we're not going to get into it.
Oh, gosh.
Now, relationships.
Yeah.
Should money be a big deal? Let's start off by even understanding at what point should you even start thinking about money in a relationship? Is it during dating, courtship, or when the relationship actually starts?
So this is relationship, unmarried couples, correct? Okay. Yes, I believe money should be a deal. Okay. It's relative to how big of a perspective, how you blow it up or shrink it. That's definitely relative to the couple at hand. I think it should become a priority when you are both working on that path to marriage.
Okay.
When you both believe in a future together. Absolutely. If you're just casual, I mean, you're not really going to hold it to such an esteem. But if a man believes, okay, this is the woman I want as my wife, and the woman believes this is the man I want as my husband, then yes, you should make money a priority. Meaning that you two both believe that you need to be financially equipped on both ends, financially stable. And it's a conversation that you need to have as soon as you realize you want to sustain your relationship. I believe that it's very important.
But isn't it an awkward conversation to have?
Yes.
Because there are all these assumptions, especially in Ghana and at the backdrop of the Mauritius and the likes, where the minute you mention money, people automatically assume the woman wants to be taken care of.
Right.
Is that a wrong theory to have?
It's an unfortunate theory, but it's a theory that we're living in our society, time, day, and age, and in our culture. It's really relative to your upbringing. Some young girls are being groomed that you should just make sure you get a good catch, get a good man who can take care of you, and just do what you need to do in the home. You have other women that are groomed that, hey, you need to make sure you're able to take care of yourself. Don't depend on anybody. So it's really relative to how you were brought up and to who you see yourself as, where you're going and where you're at in your present. Yes, it can be an awkward conversation, but if you two started off with that, that friendship, it's a conversation that can be had in a subtle way. I don't think a woman should be like, well, you know what, it's about that time, how much do you have in your bank account? No, not at all. It can be quite, from my experience and observation, it can be uncomfortable for the man to be open about his financial situation.
Why?
If he was brought up that he is the breadwinner, which a lot of men are, most men, especially in the African culture, there's a lot of emphasis and pride put on the man, and the African man being
able to cater for the family.
Exactly. If he is brought up that, that is a huge responsibility for you, you need to live by it, it can be uncomfortable for him to trust that information with the woman that he loves, that, look, I'm not as financially dependent as I would like to be, but how can you manage this? How can we manage this? And a wise woman, if she knows her partner, will be able to, how can I put it? They'll be able to come together to work through the kinks. But it's a conversation you need to have. And I think that conversation comes with trust. And there is nothing wrong with a man telling his lady, telling his woman, his girlfriend that, hey, times are tough right now. Now, the woman can take that information and do what she wants with it. But hopefully, they have such a good relationship that she can say, you know what, that's fine. We're not in a rush. Let's just build. Let's just maintain how we can. Now, it becomes a problem when one partner wants to live outside their means and puts pressure and demand on the other partner for what they cannot bring to the table. And I think that is where it becomes a big issue.
So, Melissa, let's look at it from 3 angles. The first one I want us to look at is when the woman is expecting the man to take care of the finances and maybe she takes care of the home. And this is still a relationship and not a marriage. When both of them are peers making their own money, but they also want to ensure that the partner is making the right financial decisions. So, for example, you're in a relationship, this guy is constantly spending. You know that he doesn't have that much money coming in, so you want to have a conversation about it, but you guys have not yet talked about marriage. So how do you start that conversation of how much do you actually save in a month or so? And then the third scenario is, let's say, for example, the woman makes more than the guy, but the guy grew up thinking that he's supposed to be the breadwinner. How do you now have that conversation of perhaps, I'm going to be contributing more than you because of, our different stages in our career? So let's take the first one. If you're in a relationship where the guy is the one taking care of you, he's the breadwinner, and you want to start having that conversation of, okay, how much do you save a month? How much can you afford on our relationship? How do you take that conversation?
Well, first of all, I'll say if you're not married and the guy is taking care of you, first of all, he's not actually obligated.
So it's a choice. It's
a choice. Okay. It is a choice. I mean, it's also a choice in marriage, but you have signed up for it. You've taken an oath. You
took the person from their family.
Exactly. The person has received you as we are now responsible for each other. We're a team.
We are one.
Exactly. So if you're a boyfriend and girlfriend, he's not responsible to take care of you financially. What were you doing before he came into your life at the end of the day? Is he your bank account? Is he your financial institution?
Well, there's also the level of people will say the guy as well may be depending on the woman for certain things like cooking, cleaning, emotional support, mental support. So she might not be contributing financially to the relationship, but it could be that the only thing he's contributing is finances and she's contributing everything else.
So I would say to that, why don't you just get married and do it? Because that actually is a pressure point for a lot of couples. They say it's a kind of a crude term, but it's still relevant today. They say, why buy the cow
when you
can get the milk for free? So you're both not married. You do not have a financial duty or obligation to the other. At the end of the day, you haven't taken that step. But if that is a choice that you've made because you want to show that you can both take on responsible roles for each other and as a team because you are going to get married. Now, if you're showing those principles and putting that in place, that's a different story. But, I mean, you're doing things that married couples do or long life partners do, but you haven't put, how can I put it, a cap on it, or you haven't taken it to the next level. Does that make sense?
It does, but how do you have that conversation? How do you go about it? Do you have it over dinner? Do you send a text message? Do you pretend, you know, you use your friend as an example to see how he would react before you ease your way in? You know, how do you have that conversation if you're doing everything else and he's not even, you know, taking care of you and you're used to being taken care of? And he's not even, you know, maybe he's not aware of it. How do you start that conversation?
Oh man, it's probably an awkward one to have. I don't think I've been in that position where I've had to have like a cutthroat. Hey, listen, let's sit down. No, oh man, I think that comes with comfortability. I think it's an organic conversation that has to happen. It comes with a lot of trust because, like I said, a lot of men will not be comfortable to expose that side of them to where you know, I'm the man, I should be able to provide. How do you come and tell your woman bank account's looking a little flaky?
No, but they do. So let me give you a scenario. I have a friend, really well-to-do guy, you know, he's wealthy, and he was dating this lady who just started her national service. So he was traveling to the UK for a couple of months, and she told him a bunch of things he should get for her. Right, so clothes, shoes, bags, and she said she would pay him back. So he must have spent about 400-600 euros on her, and he brought it back. And then when he brought the things back, she just jokingly said, "Well, you're not really expecting me to pay for them, are you? You're my boyfriend." So he didn't say anything, but then he came back to me and was like, "This is a no-no for me, because I've had, you know, past experiences of girls just leeching on me financially. And I know that she's not that kind of girl. She's a good girl, but I would have rather she told me she wants me to get it for her. And I have the option of saying, no, I can't afford it, or yes, because I already bought her the things I thought I could afford. And I went out of my way to buy these things because I was expecting her to pay me back. And now she's playing these games and I'm not comfortable with it. So he couldn't tell her, but in her mind, you're a wealthy guy. You make a lot of money. 400, 600 euros is really not that serious. You could actually afford it. So why are you making a big deal? So how should she have gone about it?
Well, first of all, well, you gave me kind of an indication of where she may be at in her maturity. That's the first
Well, she's in her early 30s.
Okay, well, still, age doesn't really play a part sometimes. Maybe she is, now coming back to your question, maybe she is used to having a man that can just shell out this amount, and she assumed. And that is when the conversation needs to come in, because you cannot assume that your partner is financially where you think he is. So I think the conversation needs to happen where it's like, you know what? So I mean, how are things looking for you? You know, are you doing good? Are you comfortable? And things of that nature. And your guy might say, oh, it could be better. Oh, really? Like, what happened? And then maybe the conversation can start flowing. You have to build that trust. They can't just give out that information, because for a lot of women, and let's be realistic here and honest, a lot of women, it can be a turn-off. It can be a turn off. Like,
if you can't take care
if you can't take care of the woman, it can be.
But if you're just making 700 cedis, should you really be asking me how things are doing? And
I think you have to wait. I think you have to gauge the stage in your relationship at the end of the day. Some people are more open.
Yeah.
Some people, okay, I'll give you an example. For instance, if you know a guy, some guys may be open from the jump, and maybe they've gone through some financial hardship, and they'll let you know. Maybe they've lost debts they have to pay. Maybe they've lost their car, and they're open about it. Now, you take that information however you want to take it. But if you stick with that relationship, you've gone in, you have continued knowing that this is where he's at. And you cannot demand certain things or give him certain pressures because he was open with you. Now, if you are wondering about his financial situation, then I think you should be like, do you know what? We're in a stage in our relationship. We're both serious about each other. I want to know, where do you place the priority on our finances? You're a team, remember. You can't just... your finances going to be looking like, you know, but don't you work as well? Then you can have that whole conversation about, in marriage, do you want to be the sole breadwinner, this and that. They're uncomfortable conversations, but they have to be had once you know where you're going in your relationship.
Okay, so first study the stage in the relationship you're in, and then take it from the perspective of our relationship. Yes. Okay, now we've looked at the perspective of the guy. Let's look, the perspective of the girl. I have another example of a friend who started dating a young girl in a university. So she came over for vacation, and he doesn't mind spending on her because he understands you're a bit younger, I'm a bit older. But it really bothered him that she would always come ask, like, I'm going to get my nails done. Can I get 20 cedis? I'm going to get my hair done. Can I get 50 cedis? And then it goes to, you know, I'm going back to school and my school fees. You know, so for that, in that kind of situation, how should she have gone about it, right? Perhaps she's used to people taking care of every aspect of her life because she also literally lived for him. She would literally stay at the place, not go anywhere, sleep when he tells her to sleep, wake up when, you know, pretty much, you know, surrendering herself to him and expecting that in return he will take care of her. How should they have handled that? Because he does it, but he does not like it. Like, it's cringeworthy for him, like coming to me as if I'm your dad or something.
You hit the nail on the head. I was actually about to say it. First of all, one, was she working?
No.
Two, it sounds like she wants a dad and not a boyfriend or a fiance or a husband. There's a difference. Okay, it sounds like she's needing another dad, and that is it's actually a serious issue, but we won't go into that. A lot of women take that in to their romantic relationship with their partner. A lot of men, they won't tell you, but they actually don't want a woman leeching off of them. It's nice to feel needed and wanted and feel they can do, but they don't want somebody. I can't speak for all, I can't even speak for men, but I'm saying from my observations and the conversations I've had with friends, they don't want a woman that's financially dependent on them, like they can't do for themselves. You know, I always say, like, for instance, it's a red flag to me if you come into the relationship as a man and you expect the woman to be cooking and cleaning. How in the world were you surviving? You want a mother. You don't want a girlfriend. You don't want a romantic partner. And the same for the woman. How were you getting your nails done and your hair done? Now, it's nothing wrong with the man paying for it. Oh, what are you doing today? Oh, I'm just going to get my nails done on my way. Oh, okay, I'll meet you and I'll pay. Okay, thanks. But it's not that you call him up and you...
I need this,
and
I
you
need that.
You know, you're both living your separate lives at the end of the day. Does that make sense? So it sounds like, one, the relationship was unhealthy because in return for her getting materialistic things to maintain her physical appearance, she was subjecting herself to the demands and commands of a man to determine when she woke up and when she slept. That already is a big red flag in a relationship for both of them. He's feeling financially drained and she's a robot. I think they should either have the conversation or go their separate ways and reevaluate and get in better relationships.
Okay, now let's segue into, we're peers, we both make our own money.
Right.
But I'm uncomfortable with your spending habits. So if I know if you're getting paid this week, you'll go to the club every single day of the week. You'll take your colleagues out, you know, and then getting towards the end of the month, you start, you know, staying at home more often. You're asking me, oh, babe, can I borrow 500 cities here, 700 cities there. So in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, yes, you're doing good. You make money. I make money too. But I'm worried that you don't save anything and you're literally living paycheck to paycheck. And I can't have a future with someone like that. How do you have that conversation with your partner?
I love this question, and I love this conversation. I love this conversation. I think for both men and women, so this is for both.
Yeah.
It is definitely.
And then for the women, maybe she's getting the new weave, getting new shoes, and then, you know, when we get to the 23rd, you're like, babe, can I borrow 500 cities now? I'm looking natural because I don't have money. So you're like, chick, are you saving any money?
Right. No, absolutely. No, I absolutely love this conversation, this question. It is, for me at least, it's definitely a red flag when I see the person's spending habits are a little out of control. Because if we believe we're serious about each other and we're taking it to the next step, you are going to take those same habits into your marriage. Yeah. And don't expect it to stop there. They say it usually just magnifies. Yeah. So that conversation, you know, you can say, do you know what? I understand you like to look fresh, and we both do, but maybe we should try, you know, how about we do this? $200 a month. Let's see if we can both just put it into a savings account, a separate one, please. You're not married yet. A separate savings account. And then at the end of the month, I mean, let's give ourselves a target and then treat ourselves. Sometimes you can make it fun, and it's relative to your partner and your relationship, but it's definitely a red flag. Men, you see the woman, she looks amazing, well maintained, it's how you like it, her hair's always done, blah, blah, blah. Do you know what her running bill is at the end of the month? Because you may be responsible for that every month for the rest of your life. Yeah. You know what I mean? And the same with the woman. She'll be looking into maybe the family accounts and be like, hey, we don't have anything. Because, you know, your husband's putting new rims on his tires every 2 months. So it's definitely a red flag. It needs to be checked on both sides. That conversation, I feel it's a bit of an easier one. Make it kind of fun. How about we make this a game? Let's see who can save more.
Don't necessarily shame them for their habits. Don't also make it about them.
Absolutely not.
Make it like a team thing where we're both going to save. It's not a matter of you're spending too much, so you need to check it.
Absolutely, no, absolutely. Okay. Just say, you know, what can we both do? Just make it into some. Well, I guess maybe because I like the whole game thing.
Yeah,
I'm a bit competitive.
It brings down the pressure.
Exactly.
Okay. So what about situations where the woman is bringing in more than the man, and they still have to have this conversation of, I could perhaps chip in more, but you also don't want him to feel like, you know, he's no longer the man of the relationship because you're contributing more than him, even though you can afford to. Or I've had friends say, I don't mind giving my partner the money before we go to a restaurant so that he pays for it. We don't always have to go to the roadside place just because that fits into his budget. Once in a while, I would like to go to a very bougie place, and I would like to just give him the money, and when we get there, he pays. But I also don't want to offend him. Right. How do you deal with that?
Right. That one is also comes with trust. He has to be able to know that, you know, he is secure within himself, that his woman makes more money. A lot of men don't like it. Yeah. They don't, because they feel that the woman will feel maybe she's more powerful, or she will disrespect the relationship, which some women have and some women do. So I completely understand why some men feel that way. So the respect has to be there. You know, once you find out how much each other, who's making what, the woman shouldn't bring it up. Bring it up as in his face. When monthly bills come, or no, okay, just wait. Let's just assume they're not living together. A restaurant situation, perfect example. Like you said, you just want to go to a decent restaurant, and you can just in the car or before you get there.
But what if he doesn't even want to go there because he feels like he can't afford it and he doesn't want to use your money?
I would say respect it. Do you know what? It's fine. It's fine. Like I don't have a problem with it. I'm okay. But that only comes with trust. And usually at the beginning of a relationship, a man will say no. He will turn it down and be like, oh, no, I don't like that. I don't like that. And with time, once he sees your character and he knows that you won't make him feel less of a man, you'll notice that it depends on the guy, but he'll become a bit more comfortable, you know. But you don't ever throw it in somebody's face, because then you are disrespecting the relationship, and you're showing that you're holding a value on materialistic things. You're placing a priority that if you can't do this for me, then you're not adequate enough, which should not be the case.
Okay. Now, generally, what premium should we place on money in a relationship when you get to the part where you're getting serious and you come into marriage? Should it be like 10%, 20%, 30%? In the order of priorities, where do you think it should be?
Well, they say that there's actually statistics that divorces happen because of three main things: sex, communication, and finances. Not quite sure the order, but these are definitely the three top things that split marriages in this day and age. So it's totally relative to you. If you are a partner that you believe you two are high maintenance, because there are partners like that and they are proud of it, then you know what you have to do. You will hold money to a high esteem. If you're partners that believe that you just want to be comfortable, then maybe you're on a middle ground. If you're partners that there are more important things, then it's on that level. But you know what your basic needs are for the present and for the future. And your finances are only going to really multiply once you get into marriage anyway, because then you have children. Then if you decide to have children, then you have their school fees, then family issues occur and things of that nature. So I think just for basic, anybody that's wanting to take their relationship to a next stage, make your finances a priority for the comfortability of your future with one another.
Make your finance a priority for the comfortability of your future. Excellent. Now, lastly, just 2-3 points on the money conversation. What should we keep in mind as we approach that conversation?
Keep it light. I mean, obviously make it known that it's important to you, but keep it light. You know, if you see your boyfriend, you know, you go to the house, you see he has another 5 pairs of shoes. But, hey, what's with these shoes? I mean, you'll be like, oh, I know, I'll stop. Okay, how about you do this? How about you cut it down to 2? Okay, I'll try. You know, keep it light. And the same for the woman. Like, babe, I like your hair like this. You know, you don't have to change it all the time. Oh, really? I thought no. You know, just keep it light, but let the partner know it's important, because you want both of you to be financially stable and comfortable. You're a team.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Melissa. Melissa Ward is, of course, the host of Art and Soul. You can catch her tomorrow, actually, at 8:30 on City TV, Arts and Soul.
And today, at 5 o'clock.
Oh, 5 o'clock
minutes.
Today, yes. 30 minutes, of course. Every weekday, actually, at 5 o'clock, you can catch 30 minutes. And on Saturdays, 8:30, you can catch Arts and Soul. I hope you've learned a lot about the role money plays in a relationship. Do not go anywhere. Breakfast Daily will be right back.
It's engaging, detailed, and loaded with factual and incisive analysis. It's The Big Issue, your preferred Saturday morning news and current affairs analysis program on City TV. Tune in this and every Saturday at 9 a.m. and hear the newsmakers discuss the top issues for the week.
At that time, Charlotte was complete. I'm not defending Charlotte. I'm talking about the way we behave like hypocrites and ostriches in this country. At that time, she was a perfect person.
It's The Big Issue with Selam Adonu on City TV. This and every Saturday at 9 a.m.
Live music, interviews, poetry, and more with your favorite personalities. Be our guest on Saturdays from 2 to 4 p.m. for the most exciting moments on TV. Join Kojo Akoto Boateng for real entertainment right in your living room. Saturday Live on City TV and City 97.3 FM.
City TV is live. City TV is a free-to-air digital channel. On a digital TV, please press menu on your remote control and run a news search on your TV. Take note that without an antenna, you cannot access City TV on your television. City TV can be accessed on a multi-TV digibox. Tune into City TV and experience your world. City TV, it's your world. Get the best Duke Mensa Opoku, only on City TV. For regular news checks as they unfold, 2020 news, all day, all the time. Politics, sports, entertainment, business, and more.
And that's all for 2020 news on City TV. All the news in 20 minutes.
Okay, now we have seen some amazing performances in the course of the program. We have seen, Young Puppy was doing a rap performance to start off the show, and in the middle of the show there was some big dancing, I suppose. So they're young individuals from what we call Yo-Yo Tins, and we have the co-founder and co-director as well here with me today on Breakfast Daily. I've been joined by Esinam and Selom J. How are you?
Yeah, good morning.
You guys are creative. But you need to explain the symbol to me. In your t-shirt, it's like a go-to wearing wearing headphones, right?
Yeah, so this is like the theme running for the festival.
Yeah. They're both wearing the headphones.
Yes.
With the blings.
Yes.
The chains.
Yes.
These are like gold chains with some diamonds in there.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. So what does it mean?
So what we are organizing is a hip hop festival, and in hip hop, the word goat is
greatest of all time.
Greatest of all time is, and so this is like the greatest of all time. The goat himself or herself. Yeah. So this is the real goats. The real goats everybody's talking about.
Okay. So now let's talk about Yo-Yo Tins. There's a festival coming up. In fact, how do Yo-Yo Tins start, and what exactly is Yo-Yo Tins? I'll start with you, Esinam.
Okay, so it's the brainchild of Selom J. He just realized that there was a lack, like hip-hop artists were not represented, and that also people didn't have a great understanding of the culture. Because when we sing hip-hop, people will mostly sing rap, but actually there's graffiti, there's dance, there's the way you witnessed it, there's DJing, and lifestyle, just the way you dress, or some attitudes, some habits that are linked to the hip-hop culture.
So it's like special powers, a group of individuals with special powers. So Young Papi's one was rap. We saw the two gentlemen who came to do the big dancing. So which would be your special power?
Oh no, we are behind the scenes.
You're behind the scenes. So you direct. By way of directing, what exactly do you do? Or you're directing for the festival that I'm hearing about?
So I'm the co-director of the organization. I handle communication, media relations, and social media and partnerships.
Fantastic. Global. Now let's talk about you, Selom J. how did the concept even come into your mind, and how has it fared so far?
For the festival or for Yo-Yo Tins?
For Yo-Yo Tins. It started in 2013, I'm informed.
Yes, 2013. So like she said, I felt like there was a lack of proper representation of the culture as a whole, you know, and most people did not understand what the hip-hop culture was. And then I asked myself, well, how would we call hip-hop in Ghana, you know? And the first thing that came to mind was Yo-Yo. The moment you say Yo-Yo, everybody understands or has an idea of what you're talking about. Even if they don't know it's hip-hop, they have an idea. So Yo-Yo Tins is just things of hip-hop, and the things of hip-hop is the graffiti, the rap music, the break dance, the DJing, you know. Yeah.
So why this? Well, where were you when in 2013? Where were you when all this started? 2013,
I was in Ghana, but during that period I was doing some management for Lyrical Wanzam, who is a hip-hop artist. So I think the challenge of getting his music out there was also part of the reason why. Yeah.
Okay. And now let's straight, you know, to the festival. When is it starting?
It starts Monday.
It starts on Monday?
Yeah, so
this Monday?
Yeah, this Monday 19th.
Where?
And we have several venues. So should I do the breakdown?
Please do.
Okay, so Monday we start with the exhibition at the BBNZ Live office. So it's close to Nima Police Station. Yeah, so it's
literally across the street from Nima Police Station.
Yes.
Yeah.
Close to Daily Guide.
Yeah, we will be showcasing artworks of several artists, photographers, and illustrators.
I just want to comment on this image, sorry, before you move on. So, okay, she did say Monday, so that's the 19th to the 25th of November, and it's Yo-Yo Tins Festival 2018, and that's the goat you see over there, the greatest of all times. There's the same image in his shirt, with the headphones and the bling bling thing going on. Is that a Shatta Wale's necklace? Wear something similar. No pun intended. No pun intended. So this is the festival. So tell us more. Please continue.
So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday is just dedicated to the exhibition. So you can witness amazing artists who are working to visually represent the culture. So we have Ofua Meganvi, we have Salom J, who is also a photographer.
Oh, you're a photographer
as
well?
Hanson Akati and Bright Akwe. So, so it will be a very nice exhibition, this one.
So on Monday's event, or Mondays is an exhibition?
Yeah, so we are doing the launch of the festival with the launch of the exhibition on Monday evening, 7 p.m.
7 p.m.
Yeah, and each time we do something, we try and generate discussion. So it's followed by a panel discussion, actually, on the relationship between the artworks and the music.
And who will be on the panel?
Let me go back to my notes because it's a lot of information.
There's a lot of information.
Yes.
Anyway, so while she's going back to her notes, BBNZ Monday's event is going to be more visual in nature.
Yes, so basically it's just documentation of the hip-hop culture. So I, as a photographer, Ofui, will be documenting some of the things happening in the hip-hop scene in Ghana. And then Bright Akwe has been illustrating, you know, around the theme hip-hop, and then Hanson Akete. So it's just documentation and conversations in the hip-hop culture visual.
And is it for free?
Yes, it is for free.
Okay, you found the information you're looking for?
Yes.
Please go on.
So on the panel we will have...
But that's an amazing ring, though, I must say. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's nice.
So we are also working.
Can I touch it?
Oh yeah, of course.
It's like gold.
No, it's Kenyan jewelry. So it's
I said it's like
copper.
gold.
Yeah.
Okay, go on.
So the panel discussion is moderated by Ria Boss. So I don't know if you know her.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, she's a songstress.
Yeah.
And she's done a lot of work with releasing artworks for all her songs and all our albums. So she's really the person to talk to when it comes to that matter. Then we have Ayat, who incidentally is featured in almost all the artwork, like all the artists have featured him in their artwork that we are presenting in the exhibition. So he is also the best one to talk about this.
So is that the image we have on the screen?
Yeah, Ayat.
That's the panel.
And Benewa Boateng, she's working in promoting music all kind in Ghana. And she will be doing a sound installation.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And finally?
And finally, Hanson Akati, who is also an illustrator, who will talk more about his work.
Interesting. Interesting. So that's what's happening on the 19th. Now tell us about the other days. Let's run through. Maybe let me come to you. Selim J.
So from 19th Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday is all exhibition. Yeah, and
same place, BBNZ?
Yeah, same place. So you can walk in anytime you want.
It's for free, right?
Yes, for free. You know. And then on Thursday, Thursday we have film screening. So we have collected short films around the urban culture. People.
Wow.
Yeah.
We do have things like that.
Yes, we do.
Hip hop films.
Yes. So some of not necessarily hip hop, but the urban culture that can be really, woven into like the hip hop scene. So we have the documentaries on skateboarding in Accra. We have somebody submitted all the way from Gambia, I believe, a music video that was made in a short film, and then
we have one from Senegal.
So it's not just Ghana; we are open to all cultures.
Yes. Actually, this festival is for the continent. It's not just for Ghana. So we have international acts coming from Togo. You know, we have acts coming from Nigeria. You know, I think this year is Togo, Nigeria, and Senegal. I believe. Yes.
Okay, so that's what's happening on the 19th. That's a Thursday.
No, that will be on the 24th.
Thursday, 22nd.
No, I want us to be chronological.
Okay.
So now, right now we're on Thursday.
Thursday is the short
22nd.
films.
Short films.
And it's happening at Terra Alta, which is a venue in Jolu. They are our partners for the festival, and they are also a creative center where they try to promote arts in Ghana, especially theater and dance.
Then on Friday,
we are going to La Res. No excuse, just come and witness. Even if you see
24th, 25th. That is when we have the music concert. We have the graffiti going on.
Oh wow!
We'll be having.
So that'll be this Saturday and Sunday.
Going to be scratch DJing.
Wow!
There's going to be graffiti. We are going to have.
Yes. So we are working with Lyrical Wars, and that's what they do. They are going to company replied, but just
co-host, the one with the new hairstyle, the black for food and jobs.
And then on top of those artists, we also
coming through. We have Young Pubs performed. Fu. And
he's an amazing hip hop artist.
We have Akan and we have Ghana. Let's grow the culture. Let's make it happen.
Yeah, and make sure to follow us